Good evening, and thank you everybody for your attendance here tonight. I'm Councillor Les Andrews. I'll be chairing this public meeting on behalf of Mayor Attridge, Deputy Mayor Attridge, in his absence. And I'm the chair of. He is the chair of the Planning and Development Standing Committee. I'm joined by staff and members of the council, and starting with Vicky Mink, Adam Pearson, and Chris Collins, and our staff who know each other. I'd like to start with a moment of silent reflection. Land acknowledgement. And now I'd like to read our Indigenous Land Acknowledgement Statement. The municipality of Port Hope exists on the lands of the Mishi, Sagaik, and Anishinaabe traditional territory covered by the Williams Treaties. We honor and recognize First Peoples as rights holders and stewards of the lands and waters on which we have the privilege to live, work, and play, including the Ganaraska Forest and River. We pay respect to elders past, present, and emerging. We commit to actions towards truth and reconciliation by recognizing the United Nations declarations on the rights of the Indigenous peoples, strengthening ties with First Nation, Métis, and Inuit peoples, especially those who make their home in Port Hope, and learning from Indigenous ways of knowing and being. We do so by recognizing the past and working towards a shared future. We're here tonight for a public meeting that is held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act. This meeting is a prescribed requirement under the Act and represents only one component of the planning and development process. Please note that no decisions will be made here tonight. Purpose of the public meeting is for Planning and Development Committee to inform the public of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application to 1, satisfy a condition of provisional consent with respect to file B04-2023 and B05-2023 and rezone subject lands from Hamlet Residential 1, which is Res V1, to Environmental Protection EP Zone and Environmental Protection EPF Overlay Zone. I'd like to note that committee members are not here tonight to express their opinions for or against the proposed changes. The time for that will come when the matter is brought forward for consideration at a future meeting of the Committee of the Whole. I would like to note that there are sign-in sheets near the entrance if you wish to be added as an interested party to this item and be notified when a notice of decision is issued. Please ensure you fill out the sign-in sheets with your information. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, I will now turn it over to the clerk to explain the statutory notice procedure.
Thank you, Chair Andrews. I can advise that the statutory public notice procedure confirming that the plan to communicate the public meeting included advertisement in the municipal website, updated social media content, as well as the proponent also posted a sign on the property. The notification details with respect to this matter are in report PD 4623 and within file ZB 09 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. Application, agent presentation, and staff report under 5.1. Presentation by Clark Consulting on behalf of the owners, John and Shirley Urema. And I'll call Mr. Clark to the stage.
And I'll turn my microphone on here. Yes, I'm pleased to make the presentation. I believe that you have it in the document book, and the subject lands are in Elizabethville. And, I was going to move ahead here, but I'm not sure that I can. This drawing shows the location, and it's the two lots that are outlined in the black on the southern edge of the subject lands. These lands were the subject of consent applications, which was approved, and the one of the conditions was the approval of zoning bylaws. Oh, there we. Well, I seem to be having some difficulty here. I can go forward, but I can't seem to go back. The consent application was dealt with by the Committee of Adjustment at their hearing on May 18th, 2023, and it was approved conditional on the rezoning. The planning review was conducted, and we considered all of the planning documents that are listed here. Now, see if there we go. Okay, the subject lands are designated in the hamlet of Elizabethville, so they are in that area, and they are zoned. They are currently zoned as RES V1, which is the village residential. The detail of the consent application is shown here, and there were two environmental issues. One being the environmental area that is set aside for a natural heritage feature. The other is a flood line along the creek that makes the southern boundary of these lots. And those are the subject of the zoning bylaw to recognize those areas and prevent development within those areas. That's a little difficult to read here, but basically what we're showing here is that with respect to the zoning standards for the RESV1, the two severed lots meet those standards, and therefore a zoning change for the RESV1 is not required. The next drawing shows the areas which we're proposing to be rezoned, and one of them is the environmental protection area, which is the crosshatched area, and the other is the floodplain area, which is the gray area. So that leaves an area along the frontage of the county road for development. The interesting aspect which has recently come to light is we understood that there would be a requirement for setback from the county road, that the county road policy is that it should be 30 meters from the center line of the county road, which would have meant in this situation a 15-meter setback from the frontage, from the front yard line. And what we have become aware of is that there in this area was an earlier provision that allowed for a 47-meter setback, 27-meter setback, which meant that instead of a 15-meter setback affecting the setback from the front yard, we are asking for recognition of a 12-meter setback. That, particularly for the northern lot, means that the developable area will be somewhat larger and more flexible for that area. I would also point out that this is consistent with the existing residential uses in Elizabethville, so that it's not going to be unusual in this area to see what we're asking for is a 3-meter or 10-foot allowance for the location of the residential uses on this property. Our opinion is that it meets the provincial policy. The county and the municipal official plans support the proposed development, and the amendment complies with planning policy, and the severed lot complies with the RESV1 zone regulations. That's my presentation. I'd be pleased to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, and that was very well done. Council, any questions? Mr. Clark? Seeing none.
Thank you.
5.2, Staff Report PD 4623 regarding ZB 09-2023 and Presentation Rezoning Bylaw Amendment Application 7933 County Road 65. I'm going to ask Jackie. to present.
Hi, good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming tonight. From the planning department, we have put out the circulation, as Shrishma has indicated. We have had, I just want to point out that this application has already gone to all the agencies and departments for review as part of the consent applications. And we had no objections at that time. So as of the date of the printing of this, this presentation in the agenda, we had no comments and no objections, but there was an ongoing conversation with Northumberland County Roads. So that's what Bob was discussing before. So since the agenda has been printed, the result of that has been that the county, who wanted a 30-meter setback, has now agreed they'll take a 27-meter setback because the zoning bylaw in effect required a 27. So they've accepted that because it's in a hamlet. And you got their response, which was a little bit confusing. And the one thing they said is that they will not entertain any more minor variances to the front yard setback, which the applicant's been made aware of. So in terms of there's no objections and no comments for this zoning bylaw amendment. Can I have the I have the next slide. I'm like, can't see it. Oh, did I go too far? Okay. In terms of planning consultation, we've met all of the regulations of the Planning Act. There was a mail out to the residents on November 2nd. On-site posting, the sign was put up on November 14th, 2023. And there was a newspaper notice for this application because the newspaper was still going November 14th, 2023, and it was on the municipal website. The notice of complete application and public meeting was sent out on November 14th. So there's, in terms of public consultation, all of the regulations have been met. This thing is, there we go. The next steps after this public meeting is, one other thing I wanted to mention, sorry, is one of the results of the 12-meter setback that's being permitted for the county is now there's going to have to be an exception placed on the Res V1 section of those lots. So it's just the exception, we're from the planning department standpoint, this was a result of the circulation. So, and the plan that went out to the public said 10 meters. So if anything, the situation is going to be now 12 meters. So we don't feel that it needs another public meeting because of this change. It's a result of the agency comments. So we'll be recommending that there's a site-specific exception placed on the Res V1 zone to recognize that 12-meter setback. Next steps, a planning recommendation report will be brought to committee of the whole. Then if that's recommended to move forward, it would go to council for a decision, and then a notice of decision would be made or post set down. So if there's any questions.
Thank you, Jackie. Are there any questions to council of Jackie? Councillor Mink?
Thank you. Just two quick questions. The cemetery there, that's north of all of this, right? It's not adjacent at all? Yeah. And just the other question I have is the leftover land that is being severed, is there any conditions or exceptions being put on that piece of property?
Through the chair, that is in the Hamlet designation. So in the future, that could become a draft plan of subdivision, but the owners of the land, they're only allowed to take 2 lots off. The next application they make would be a draft plan of subdivision.
Thank you. Any other questions? And welcome, Mayor. Correspondence, I'll now turn it over to the clerk to speak to the correspondence received.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can confirm that the Planning Department has received no comments from the public prior to the printing of the agenda. We have received one comment post-printing of the agenda from the County of Northumberland, and we have received several comments from agencies which are contained within file ZB09-2023. We've also received comments from the Works and Engineering Department, Canada Post, Northumberland County Septic Services, Planning Department of the Northumberland County, as well as the Ganaraska Conservation Authority and Bell Canada. Thank you.
Thank you. And I do not see the applicant present. Would his agent like to make any further comments? Thank you. Question period. Questions from committee members? Any outstanding questions from council members before we move to the next submission? No. Submissions from members of the public. Before we begin submissions from the public, I'd like to note that the agenda contains important information with respect to question period and your opportunity to provide your comments on this matter in the appeal process. I will remind you that if you want to have the ability to appeal the eventual decision of the municipality of Port Hope to the Ontario Land Tribunal, you must make either a written submission or make comments at a public meeting before the proposed bylaws can considered for adoption. All interested parties who wish to speak to this matter tonight should approach the microphone, state your name and address for the record, please. I also want to remind those of you in attendance, but especially those looking to speak this evening, please ensure that you complete the sign-in sheet near the entrance before you leave. The sheet assists municipal staff as it provides a record of attendance and contact information if a notice of decision is requested. And I see nobody in attendance. And I now adjourn the meeting. Thank you for coming tonight.